Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel here and welcome back to another video. So for today, I'm doing something I should have done here a long time ago, but I just been putting it off just because I was lazy slash, you know, I didn't have the proper tools to do so. So what we're doing today, and what I mean by we is myself and James. James is on his way over to help me out. My loud ass cars. My front bumper here, when I did the upper and lower 13-14 Grille swaps on this, now if you have a 2010 to 2012 GT500 and you want to do the upper and lower 13-14 Grille swaps, you have these pieces in here that you need to trim out. I see right here on either side. Well, I didn't have the proper tool, or I guess any kind of Dremel at the time, to cut that piece out so it sits flush. So it's all snapped in along here and up here, but there's a couple snaps right here that's supposed to snap into. Well, that is preventing it from snapping in all the way. That's why it looks like it's kind of sticking out a little bit here on the ends. So James is gonna come over because he has the proper tool to trim that and cut that. We're gonna get the car jacked up, pull off the front bumper here, and kind of show you guys, because I haven't really seen any videos on YouTube how to properly trim those out in the right places to fit the Grille inserts if you have a 2010 to 2012 GT500 and you decide to do the upper and lower swaps for your GT500. So I'm gonna kind of show you that because I haven't really seen a lot of those on YouTube. So secondly, since we got the bumper pulled off, we have these clips right here I'm going to replace that are behind the bumper, because if you pull this off one too many times, it can break the clips under there. And you can see how that's kind of sticking out a little bit. Well, that one is halfway broken, and by pulling it off again, it's probably gonna make it even worse. So about 2 years ago, I bought the replacements because that's about the last time I pulled this bumper off. I'm going to also replace that as well, since I'm taking off the front bumper as well. So we're gonna replace those plastic brackets so that snaps in properly, and then trim that piece out also as well. So we're just gonna wait for James to get here. And then we're gonna get started. Ah, look who showed up. Come on. Looks good in my driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to get one.
I do. I do.
Walking around waiting on that 24.
He wants me to go to 2020 instead of waiting on the 2024. I don't know.
You're only sacrificing like 20 horsepower.
Yeah, it's more than the 20 horsepower. It's... You get the...
You're such a girl.
This guy, man, he's an asshole.
I want the newest stuff.
It's got the dual throttle bodies, though. Come on.
So?
And the huge, you know, like the IMAX screen inside of there and everything like that.
So?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do when that stuff goes out?
Well,
Think of all the...
yeah. That's what a warranty's for.
Think of all the cost of the maintenance.
Nah, that's what the warranty's for.
Yeah, until...
Mr. Negativity over here.
I know your crazy self, you'd like void that sucker in like the first year trying to upgrade it.
This is true. It's facts. So James doesn't quite know what we're trimming off here. So this piece right here, you know, that little piece, that random piece. So the 2010 to 12 GT500s, when you swap the grills to the 13-14, it has that piece in there. A lot of guys trim that piece off. I just, you know, I didn't have the shit to...
Oh, you're wanting to take this?
Yeah, so just pull the bumper off and then probably unsnap this and just trim right around there. So there's a clip under here that'll clip right in. Shouldn't take too long. I think the hardest part is just, not the hardest part, the longest part is taking the bumper off, yeah, and then flipping it on its end and trimming it. I'd wait till we just pull it off.
Well, I'm looking at feeling around to see.
Clips?
Well, if you really have to take
We might not even have to take it off. Look, like, the clip
I mean,
off.
you could feel like...
It's not clipped in all the way because that's holding it back, you see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if there's
just tabs in here. You just need to just pull out ever so slightly, and it'll just, yeah.
Okay, so for anyone that hasn't taken off the front bumper to S197, you got to undo these right here. I think you said these are 8 mils.
Yeah.
Obviously, after you take off your radiator cover, you just unclip that. And then back here, these are 7s, I believe, right? 7 mils?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. You don't have to take off your tire. We might take it off, but we don't.
Easier.
It'll be easier, so we might take off the tire.
Or else,
and then, like obviously underneath, we gotta jack the car up. But then these are those pull tabs. You pull, you yank that out, and what we're gonna be replacing it with are these right here. So these is what's behind the bumper, which we need to replace here. So for anyone that has the same issues, that is the part number information. You can go ahead and pause that for anybody. These were actually pretty expensive. They're like 40 bucks. So for anyone that has this same issue for a piece of plastic, they're not that cheap.
okay.
All right, so we ended up not having to pull the tire off. We just turned the tire over to get to these right here on each side. We're gonna straighten it out now, because then we gotta get the ones that are underneath. And after you undo the ones that are underneath, you just carefully pull that apart, which I'm afraid that's already broken anyway, and it's gonna get even worse, which is why I'm replacing them. And then undo the connectors here for the side markers and the fog lights, and then it should come right off. Okay, so we got everything unscrewed from underneath on the bottom, so now all we gotta do is we need to gently pull these out, and then after we get some space, undo the side markers and the fog lights, as I said. So just be cautious of that to not tear or rip anything. Yep, it'll just unclip just like that. Okay. You get it?
Yeah. Undo.
Okay, we got it all unclipped. Now, if you can see down here, just need to undo your fog light and your side marker, and it'll just come right off. Okay, so we're just resting the bumper here on the tailgate of my truck, but we went ahead and pulled out the lower grille. Now, as you pull these out, these clips are very fragile. So as you unclip these, especially if it's cold outside, it can get brittle. Make sure you don't break those, because that's just gonna be another thing you're gonna have to go out and pay for in the process. So put this down. So what we're gonna do, this is that piece. So we're gonna be trimming along, right along here. This is what's in the way. So we're just gonna trim along up here, and this, so it's flush and even, and then it's gonna clip right into here. So we actually need to keep this so it clips right into here. So we were looking for a plug-in for our Dremel tool to trim this out. Big shout out to F-150 and Ford. First time I've actually used that plug-in there on the side there. So those come in handy if you have one. All right, so we got this side all flush. Just repeat the same process over on that side. So when you're trimming, make sure you keep that bracket piece right there. So keep the integrity of that, so this snaps into it. So as you're putting it up there, just you see, just make sure it sits flush and it doesn't show through there. We still got to trim that piece up there still, but just make sure that sits flush. We maybe just trim just a little bit more off so it doesn't show through from the outside. So.
And I got
Okay, so we got both sides trimmed. Everything is set to go. As we're, the part that takes the longest is this part right here. Is you just trim it so it can clear and it doesn't show, and so that piece can snap in all the way nice and flush. So we got everything all trimmed. Just need to get the leaf blower and blow all these plastic fragments off, I guess, and then put it back together. Well, before we put it back together, we're gonna do this bracket right here. We're gonna undo this and then replace it with the one that's not broken, because these pull tabs are what are notorious for breaking. So we're gonna take care of that before we put the bumper back on. When you're untaking these off, they're a pen mill. So you can kind of see right here, you see how that's like an empty space? Like, you see how that has a little tooth right there? Not one there, that one does. See that little pull tab right there? That is what's supposed to be right there. So that's what's prone for breaking. So when you pull off your bumpers, be very cautious of that, because you see here, see how that has a little pull tab right there? All right, hang on, see, right there. That tooth right there, and that one's gone. That's what always snaps off and breaks. So hopefully,
Be careful when you.
this is the last time I pull this bumper off for a while.
When they're
Okay, so when putting the new one on, that pull tab there just comes with the new one that you get comes with a pull tab, so you don't have to reuse anything. You got 3 bolts, 1, 2, 3, and there's a what's that piece called underneath there?
like a pin,
It's like a pin underneath there.
alignment pin.
Alignment pin. You just align the pin in the hole, and then we just gotta screw these in, and then we're done. All right, so we just clipped the lower grill in. Everything sits flush. You can't see anything. So everything's all put back together. So we're just gonna go mount this back up, plug these back in, and we should be good to go. Yeah, so everything sits flush. We gotta blow off the excess, all that crap. But looks like it's supposed to. So let's go get this thing on. Yeah, don't knock anything over.
Set it down, put on.
We gotta put this in here too.
Yeah.
Getting the
It's
electricals hooked up first.
Now this is sticking out.
yeah. you
Make
gotta
sure
that's-
this guy goes back behind it.
Otherwise, your bumper's gonna sit off. It's not gonna sit flush.
Yeah.
Small things like that can make a big difference.
And don't be afraid to put some muscle into
Yeah.
it, because this plastic is very rigid. It doesn't want to bend,
Yeah.
but you got to make it bend. Just like this. Just like that.
And then just snap it in.
There.
Make sure it's all aligned first before you pop it in.
This needs to go behind here.
Let's give it a few good love taps.
It's the only time you're ever allowed to hit my car. So when putting the bumper back on, and you're replacing the little bracket back there, make sure you screw it on and make sure it's tight. We did not do that. So we were wondering, why is this loose? So we had to undo that a little bit to pull it out, but we got it. So just make sure everything's screwed in and tied properly so you don't run into any issues with it not working. All right, so she is all buttoned up, all put back together. The radiator cover, the new brackets for the side, all that is clipped in properly, so those are brand new and not broken. And you can definitely see this sits a lot more flush than what it did in the start of it. So we just got some extra of that shaving's gonna get all that dust off. I'll clean all that off. So it sits a lot more flush, it's in there a lot more sturdy, and it sits the way that it should. So I wanted to put this video together, as I said, because I haven't seen a lot of videos regarding the swap from the 10 to 12 GT500s to the 13, 14 lower upper grill swaps on how to get those trimmed out properly. There's videos on, you know, the GT500 bumper swaps in general, but I just haven't seen like any whole lot regarding trimming that out so it sits flush. So we're gonna get this all dusted off, cleaned off, but all in all, it's an easy, straightforward process. Maybe altogether took about an hour or so. The most tedious process is the trimming process. Make sure that you trim it properly, but it's it's good to go. I put it off for about, I don't know, 3 years, but finally got it done. So, all right, so everything else all buttoned back up, put back together. Big thank you for James here for coming out, because James was a Ford tech, so he was knowledgeable on what size bits and all other kind of shit and how to.
Little bit of knowledge.
Even though it's not that big of a deal, but it always helps. And then the experience of the process of taking off a bumper. It's not that complex, but you really got to be careful when unsnipping stuff and taking stuff off, because stuff can break pretty easy. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and close this one out. If you guys are watching this and you're not subscribed, do me a favor, as always, hit subscribe. Please leave a comment, drop a like, and as always, I'll catch you guys next one. See ya.